True.
2 years wasted XQC out.
Let me see this chat. Yeah, let's see if this is what
My
we're
name
looking
is
at.
Ra. We in Kensington, Philadelphia, North Philadelphia to be exact.
Yo,
somewhat.
did you guys
It's known
hear
for a lot of
about that
drug use,
underground
crime,
tunnel
drug
in
use,
NYC?
prostitution.
What are the most popular drugs here right now?
The trank, the dope, and the fentanyl. What's up, baby? Just doing them dirty, like bad. Like my mother's from down here. My mother used to do every drug in this book. Glad to say she's clean off of everything. But me, when I was a child, my mother was down here doing dope. She did not look like this. She had a couple track marks, she had a couple little sores and everything, but her limbs wasn't falling off. It's real bad. Like you can smell them when they walk past. Like,
Do you guys believe addiction is a disease?
yes, it is.
Some people want to get off drugs, but they so deep into it, they can't. No matter how hard they try, they've been doing it for so long, it becomes a part of them.
What do you think's the solution for someone who's that far in the lifestyle of drug addiction?
Well, my honest opinion, I don't think there's no solution. Then they're gonna do it till they die.
There's a
Chat, 55 seconds. Let me just refresh it, chat, because when this was posted, it was 8 minutes ago, and it probably didn't have the quality options.
There's a fight right behind us. All right, that's it. You got him. That's it. That's it. You stealing? You can't steal. You can't steal. Da bing. No more. Get up. Go.
This is a typical day in Kensington, a neighborhood in Philadelphia. 400 to 800 people are on the streets here.
Sorry, I was
looking
laughing
for
because of
their
the
next
balloons quality
high.
thing.
What's your name?
Bud,
How long you been out here?
almost 4 years. I think it's crazy, for real.
When do you think you
fuck?
first started doing drugs?
I tried drugs when I was 18. I used heroin until I was 22. So in that period of time,
Wait,
you
what
can
the fuck?
kinda
His
see
limbs are
the
falling
writings
off,
on the wall. You know, it's a spiral
Eee.
downward, and eventually it takes you to somewhere like this. Honestly, if I'm being truthful, I'm probably gonna have to get arrested to stop. But when I do get arrested, it's at that point, you know, I'd like to move forward into sobriety. I've had 5 years clean, 2 years clean, a year and a half clean. Hi, Mom. I'm okay. Love you.
And if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God is raised
Bro,
from the
ew.
dead, you'll be saved. We are all the same. We have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of
What the
God.
fudge?
And like I said before, at the foot of the cross, there's no racism, there's no gender,
There's no gender?
let me repeat that. There is gender, but there is no difference in salvation with respect to gender. If you're a man, you get saved. If you're a woman, you get saved. Let me tell you something. A man will not get to heaven if he's a homo and doesn't repent of his homosexuality.
Do you use any of the harm reduction services they offer out here?
Yeah, we use the needle exchange. Then with harm reduction, they offer like wound care.
What's going on with the wound on your leg, man?
So what it is it's a sore that's caused by an abscess.
How does that happen?
We're not really sure, to be honest. Most of us think it's the trank that does it.
The dangerous street drug component is officially called xylazine, nicknamed trank, as in tranquilizer. For people who use illicit drugs, it is an X factor, both unseen and possibly fatal.
City officials and the feds say trank is being mixed with opioids.
My name is Rosalind Pichardo,
What the
founder
fuck?
of Operation Save Our City. I work with families of homicide victims, and I'm a harm reductionist.
So what is xylazine?
So xylazine is like a tranquilizer, not made for human consumption. It's made for animals. It's used on mice. It's used on. It's like a sedative that's made it into the drug supply. I mean, it's been here for 6 years, but we're seeing it a lot more now.
A drug commonly used to sedate horses is now being linked to overdose deaths across the country.
Trank was detected in 34% of all overdose deaths in 2021.
It's like a vasoconstrictor. It constricts your veins, and it just makes it hard to circulate. And then next thing you know, you got infection, you have amputation, you have rotting skin.
They say that like the filler is like really acidic. It's like when you get a cut, it's like almost like the acid tries to get out of your system, like through like the weak point or something in your veins, you know. So it's like these wounds, they don't heal, man. I've had this on my leg for like over a year, same size, man.
And have you attempted to get any like health care for it?
Nothing official, you know, but I do take care of it. Clean gauze, soap and water, Meta Honey.
So I have a lot of wound care supplies. I had a lot of snacks, socks. It's just not enough. We may have like maybe 6-7 teams out here from different hospitals, but it's just more or less the
guys, what's
the
going on in NA,
magnitude
bro?
of people that are here coming from all over the country to consume this stuff that's not made for human consumption. I would say 70% are not from here.
Nah, he
70,
bugging.
80% are not from here.
I'm from Baltimore. I went to rehab like a month ago, and I ended up leaving with a girl that's from here, and been here ever since, and basically got stuck down here. I got a family back home in Baltimore with 3 kids, and this shit's different, like totally different. We took a trip back one time and got the dope, and it does nothing now. So basically, I'm up here because this shit is fucking different. Like,
they come here because we have that good shit, you know. They come here because we got that good drug.
This is wild, bro. I've never seen something like this shit ever in my life. Like Baltimore's ran by the gangs and shit. Like, Trank ain't even hit Baltimore yet. Like, I'm telling you, when it hits Baltimore, that shit's about to be a war zone.
Dude, this dude is tweaking out, dude.
Nothing else gonna get anybody high.
What's going on with your right arm here, man?
And somebody missed, and I ended up getting a blood infection, and I was septic. Like, last week, I was in ICU for 4 days.
Do you know what might have caused it?
Trank and a coke.
What about you, man?
Well, look, my voice is mangled because when I was getting hit, somebody was hitting me, they hit my voice box. Or I think, I mean, that's what they say, but I'm going on like 3 weeks. Trank is nasty shit. It's an animal tranquilizer that was used on horses. You can look around and see and go, ooh, ooh,
go!
But ultimately, it's not that person's fault. Take the fucking Trank away. My fucking leg is horrible. I'm embarrassed by it. I wash, clean, put antibiotic fucking ointment on it, wrap it every day. Every time I can, I'm in that shower. This has been here for 5 fucking months.
The flesh-eating condition caused by Trank is referred to as necrotizing fasciitis. This condition was mentioned briefly during my visit to a harm reduction facility in San Francisco.
Necrotizing fasciitis, which is flesh-eating disease.
But I wanted to learn more about what's actually going on beneath the skin when you see these types of lesions. So I found a dermatologist named Dr. Cartwright to help break it down.
Sure, I'm Martina Cartwright. I'm the Vice President of Medical Affairs for a small dermatology company. Xylazine is not an opioid. It's actually an anesthetic meant for horses and other large animals. So necrotizing fasciitis is just a name for dead tissue. It causes death of the fascia, which is right underneath the skin surface, and it can even go deeper than that. So what you're seeing, that blackened tissue, again, is dead tissue, and below that is a harbored infection.
Now, how long after injecting Trank would it take for this condition to set in?
It's hard to say, but it oftentimes only takes a few days. Treatment is very complicated. You have to get the individual into the hospital right away to receive IV antibiotics. They also have to debride that wound, which means you take off the dead layers of skin and tissue. And sometimes that can go as deep as the bone. If they don't get the immediate treatment, it will spread and oftentimes cause a systemic infection called sepsis. Sepsis is a systemic infection that affects all the organs. So it's characterized by low blood pressure, rapid heart rate, increased temperature, and high white blood cell count. And it often has a very high death rate.
What is the death rate?
It's over 50%.
Is there any type of treatment for sepsis?
Amputation is the only treatment. They're not getting enough blood flow and nutrients to the area where the tissue has died, and it just keeps spreading. You can think of it almost like water spreading in a puddle. It goes from one small place and then it spreads throughout the limb, and if they don't seek treatment to get that blood flow back in there, they're going to lose their limb.
Once symptoms have progressed beyond their initial stage, which is marked by dramatic inflammation of the affected limb, the skin begins to corrode. After that, the only real option is amputation, which in America costs $45,000 without insurance. So it's not uncommon in Kensington for Trank addicts to chop off their own limbs to stop the disease from progressing onto their internal organs. Now, I can genuinely say that in all my years reporting, I have never seen something this horrifying. And on a human level, I was struck with a piercing sense of anger and genuine frustration that there was actually someone out there, probably in plain sight, making a killing, selling Trank in Philadelphia. An evil drug, slowly killing thousands of people in real time, who even if they miraculously get clean, will never recover from the damage it does to their body. all in the name of profit, because I guess fentanyl just wasn't enough to pay the bills. Still, it's my job as a journalist to speak to everyone, so I asked around. Does anybody know where this stuff comes from? I was told that at the top of the supply chain...
You guys are making a killing? I don't think so, chat. I think... Guys, I could be wrong, but I think this is like very effective at very low dosages or whatnot, right? It's probably not even that much money. It's
almost all of Philadelphia's trank is created by a tight-knit pair of two brothers who've achieved...
Guys, the target audience is like these guys which are all homeless. They're not like rich, like balling out, fucking spending thousands on this shit. It's probably... I mean, I'm wrong. It's probably very cheap.
A monopoly on the flow of xylazine in and out of Philadelphia after Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro made it temporarily illegal 6 months ago for veterinarians to prescribe or even possess xylazine.
Governor Shapiro is taking aggressive action to stop the spread of xylazine, also known as trank, directing the State Department of Health to list it as a Schedule III narcotic.
The Trank brothers agreed to meet with me, but wouldn't give me an exact address. They first told me to go to the parking lot of Max's Cheesesteaks in North Philly. From there, they gave me walking directions to the stash house, where the door was left wide open for me to enter. And there I was, with the Walter White and Jesse Pinkman of Trank.
This is the Kensington finest. They love it. There's a lot going on. A little bit of dope, a little bit of Trank, a little bit of Fetty. This should be about like 50 grams right here. This is good for about like $2,000, between $2,000 and $4,000. You know, it don't cost that much neither, man. It don't cost that much.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of people have died from overdoses from this stuff.
Yeah.
Molly Kotchenberger was just 30 years old when an overdose claimed her life. Haran says a dangerous veterinary tranquilizer was to blame.
The guy literally said it's not that much. The guy himself said it.
In her system.
Do you feel any sense of like responsibility?
Yeah, I feel bad. They can't spend more money with me. Fuck.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. The amount it takes to use, it's not a lot that it takes. It's why it's dangerous, brother. When will you understand what I'm telling you, dumbass?
Yeah.
Because it's so little to use to get that effect that it is not a lot.
It's like a tranquilizer, obviously, but it's already put together as we speak, though. I gotta put it into like a blender and really get it down to a powder form so I can get all my work from it, get it done, get it on the streets, and do what you gotta do.
I saw online that it kind of originated as like a veterinary thing, right?
Yeah. So when you get your hands on it at first, it's not really breaking the law until you really like put it together.
Is there like a kind of dirty veterinarian involved somewhere along the way?
Yeah. Plenty of them. You know, it don't cost that much neither.
He's right. For a licensed veterinarian, a bottle of xylazine, capable of doubling the strength of an ounce of fentanyl, costs only $33.
Is there a limit to how much you can get at one?
No, I apologize. We're not doing shit today. And you say sorry, dumb fuck. I ain't doing that shit. Fucking morons. Dumbasses, I was right there. Dumbasses. Everybody always saying you're wrong. I was right.
Well, sometimes.
And what is that limit?
So an average bottle, I'd say we probably get about like 4 or 5 average, 4 to 5 bottles. Okay.
How much is each bottle?
So average between, I'd say 300 to 700. It's gonna come to 1,000 if the person really stingy, don't want you to know what's going on.
And it's typically veterinarians, huh?
Yeah. Well, no. He's the first guy, but we talk to the 4th, 5th, 6th guy. Yeah, I don't go right to the farms and get it, no. I got some people that make runs. I don't really make runs myself, but I make sure I pay them very well to get what I need. We do what we gotta do, but I need y'all to get it here. I can't go get it myself.
Do you have any of the bottles with you?
You see that bottle right there? Yeah, that's that money right there. See, my guy ain't moving.
Do you kind of moderate like how much you put into the fentanyl packets?
Yes, you got to. You don't want to kill them. You want them to enjoy themselves. You don't want to kill them.
You think Trank's like a pretty enjoyable experience?
Yeah.
It causes an anesthetic effect, so lower heart rate, a sense of calming. It almost rivals that of heroin.
Interesting.
And they don't go through harsh withdrawals.
What does Trank feel like?
Trank makes me feel like I'm asleep. Honestly, it's kind of like a daze. I'm from like the heroin days. You know, I'm in it for the rush. you know, the euphoric rush from the drugs. Trank really doesn't offer that, but what it does offer is a cheap nod.
How much is a single dose of Trank?
A single dose of Trank, like in a dope bag form?
Yeah.
$10, $5 to $10.
Oh, $5 for a bag of fentanyl mixed with a tranquilizer.
How many do you think you sell a day?
Hundreds of thousands.
From a distribution standpoint, the Trank brothers supply between 15 to 20 blocks in Philadelphia every day with their own bundles of Trank. They estimate that each block alone sells 10,000 doses.
So if a block doing 100 bundles, and there's 14 bags in a bundle, that's about 10,000.
It is cheaper.
This economy generates $500,000 every day. But as we saw, costs many customers their lives and limbs.
Or have you seen the effects of it on people's body?
Guys,
Guys,
the damage to user ratio to the price is even worse than the fact that it's cheap. That much damage for $10 is ridiculous.
And it's not good.
It is
Normally,
insane.
If you do it the right way, it won't happen like that. But if you miss, it will tear your ass up.
Do you feel any sense of like responsibility for that?
No responsibility.
How come?
Because I'm not the one that's giving it to him directly.
So you have other people that work for you?
Yes, I do.
How many people do you think work under you?
50 average.
What's like their average age typically?
Average age, teenagers, dealers, teenagers, older people, yeah, sometimes, but they're normally the drug addicts.
I see you have some protection on you here.
Yeah, got to, all the time. Glocks, Smith & Wessons, a little bit of everything, whatever we can get our hands on. But Glocks is our favorite. They are very, very reliable. There's a lot of robbers. Everybody can't get their hands on this stuff.
Why is it so hard to get this stuff?
Why? Yeah, because we stingy. You're not gonna sell everybody. We don't want everybody getting our money. So when they see people that got blocks that's doing real good numbers, they like to rob the hustlers. And when they rob the hustlers, they messing with me. And therefore, I gotta take care of them.
How do you take care of stuff?
Normally death. Normally death.
You ever shot anybody before?
Yes, sir.
How was that experience?
I don't know. I don't remember.
How'd you first start doing this?
Friends, poverty,
What the heck?
guys, and seeing that they like it better than dope.
How would you describe your upbringing like in general?
Regular, nothing crazy. Regular poverty.
How about your like home life?
Regular, but it wasn't enough.
How old were you think when you first started to just like figure you didn't want to work a regular job?
Never worked a regular job.
Really?
Never.
Not even for like one shift at Starbucks?
No.
How long have you been doing this for?
I'd say about 10 years.
How do you feel about what's going on at K&A?
K&A? I'm not really too far from that area, but I know my stuff is over there, and they're loving it, you know? Some people got dope, some people got dope.
Yo, chill out. Bro. You are bugging. Out of everybody, dude, who does like reporting or like journalism, okay? Andrew does film it. There's some edits that are kind of odd sometimes, okay? But there's such a big fucking food chain of reporting. Is that like the bottom of like the most harmful ones in terms of awareness to damage ratio? Again, there's so much you should go.
I forgot to mention, Trank prices are kept fixed by the cartel. The original crooked veterinarian at the top of the supply chain doesn't sell to the Trank brothers or anyone directly. They sell wholesale to a broker who works for a Mexican drug cartel.
What are those guys like?
Sturdy, very sturdy. They won't do what I'm doing.
Do they kind of control things on like a high level?
Yes, they do. Prices, people's lives.
For my own safety, I don't want to say which one, but the cartel sets a fixed price for xylazine bottles and closely monitors Trank as it travels down the supply chain, particularly as it moves from the Trank brothers onto the blocks, like Kensington. If any blocks are found to be cutting and weakening Trank to maximize profit or getting xylazine from outside veterinarians, they would almost instantly be killed, and the cartel doesn't have to do it themselves.
They can get you touched without even being here.
Really?
Yes, sir. They'll drop the price.
Just like a bag on somebody's head?
Yeah, no problem.
And that word just kind of circulates around?
In the past year, though, this market has become increasingly difficult to regulate due to an overseas manufacturer called Hanhong Pharmaceuticals, which is an unregulated company based in Wuhan, China. This company, which should be a household name, is funded directly by the infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology. But I like having a YouTube channel, so I'm gonna save my cross-analysis for a later date. Anyways, Hanhong Pharmaceuticals was recently revealed to be the company solely responsible for selling fentanyl precursors to the Mexican drug cartels, who then bake these chemicals in a laboratory into pills and powder to import into the United States. Because of the success of the open-air Trank market in Philadelphia, this company recently figured out about xylazine, And so, about a year ago, Han Hong began selling their own variant of xylazine, but instead of liquid, in a powder form for only $20 a kilo, which they've been attempting to sell to drug dealers in Philadelphia on platforms like Telegram and WhatsApp. Unlike the trade of fentanyl, which requires the cartel as a middleman to bake the precursors, Han Hong's invention of powdered xylazine allows them to cut out the cartel as a middleman and sell directly to dealers. For a period of time, this was a real game changer for tranq dealers.
They can get it off the internet. They can order it from anywhere. And what's sad is you don't even have to be in the veterinarian field to receive it through the mail from Chinese dealers.
However, this majorly weakened the control of the cartel, who had already set a fixed price for liquid xylazine bottles, leading them to impose a death sentence on anyone caught receiving or trading powdered Chinese xylazine. This green light on someone's life, however, is imposed remotely. Because Philadelphia is so poor, all the cartel has to do is contact the city's gang leaders through private channels, with someone's picture, their name, and a price. In the following days, a feeding frenzy for that person's life will ensue.
3 gunmen firing dozens of shots in broad daylight, killing a 19-year-old man who was sitting on some steps.
From an outside perspective, it may look like gang warfare or just simply black-on-black crime. But it's actually a proxy war between Chinese corporations and Mexican drug cartels. For this reason, the advent of tranq in Philadelphia has led to a major spike in homicides. And almost nobody has a bigger target on their head than the Tranq brothers. What are your aspirations like for your whole life?
Well, I get in and get out. I've been in for quite a while, but since the tranq and the fentanyl have been here, profit's been very skyrocket, so I shouldn't have been doing this too long, but until then, I gotta do what I gotta do.
So you do think you'll get out of the dope game eventually?
I'm just watching. There's not much to comment.
What do you want to do when you're out?
I'm just watching the video.
Business. I like cars. I like fancy cars.
What's your favorite kind of car?
Dodge Charger, Hellcat, Grand Cherokee. I like money.
What's your favorite way to spend money, like after you get it?
On my bitches. Bitches, food, fancy cars, jewelry.
Like taking girls out to restaurants?
Yes. Hell yeah.
What kind of food do you like?
I like pastas, I like pizza, I like steak.
Sick.
Most important, lamb. I'm a lamb type guy.
Oh, nice. What do you think's the best place in Philly to get lamb?
Lamb?
No,
here. Like dark-skinned woman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Attitude or more calm?
Both.
Nice.
Only you know how to fucking listen.
Have you ever tried this stuff before?
Fuck no. Well, never.
You think drugs are harmful?
Yes, it is harmful.
How come?
We don't like it. Why? And look, you see what it's doing? It's killing everybody.
Do you feel any sense of like responsibility?
No. They're gonna fucking buy it off me. You wanna sell drugs tomorrow, guess what they're gonna buy it off of? You too. All kids stay away from drugs. All kids stay away from drugs.
Well, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Real.
After leaving the Tranq brothers' house, I felt conflicted. On one hand, you could say that they're evil.
I do think it's evil. They're taking advantage of people that have addiction problems, mental illness.
They're producing a drug that destroys people's lives and bodies. But on the other hand, even they have caveats that protect them from responsibility and give them an ethical high ground no matter what. For example, they say tranq users don't go through harsh withdrawals.
And they don't go through harsh withdrawals.
Meaning they're providing a less painful experience than a typical fentanyl dealer. However, we learned from Dr. Cartwright, this is not true.
The come down from that drug is so horrific and painful for them, they'll check themselves out of the hospital and start all over again.
They also claim that necrotizing fasciitis only sets in if you miss a vein.
If you do it the right way, it won't happen like that. But if you miss, it will tear your ass up.
Meaning, it's all the fault of the user for not doing it right. This is also false.
It's more likely to happen if you miss a vein, but regardless, it will occur.
And most interestingly, they say that if they don't do it, someone else will, framing themselves as powerless cogs in the drug machine.
They're gonna fucking buy it off of me. You wanna sell drugs tomorrow, guess what they're gonna buy it off of? You too, man.
I believe that at one point, probably early on, they realized that making tranq was wrong. But after seeing such astronomical profits come in, their brains constructed protective pathways to shield their souls from guilt and flood their conscience with the same affirmation. Yes, what I'm selling is harmful. But if I stop, somebody will take my position.
Oh, we're going to...
Therefore, it is not...
Oh, damn, we're going to the philosophy. You're not listening.
Wrong for me to profit from this, because even if I abstain from selling it, the market will continue. It all reflects a deeply antisocial, alienated, nihilistic worldview, in which the individual has absolutely no power in influencing or changing the trajectory of a doomed society. Recognizing the spiritual sickness that runs through the veins of this collapsing country, greed, death, and decay become seen as absolutes.
Therefore, chat, this bank that has a lot of money will get robbed. Someone's gonna do it. Not me, somebody's gonna do it. So instead, I will do it so other people don't. I'm gonna, guys, no problem. I'm gonna take one for the team, chat. Bank robbed.
And so, the alienated individual figures, they're just temporary placeholders for an omnipresent evil. An evil that will exist with or without. I began to wonder if this psychology was shared by even more heinous criminals, like child traffickers or elephant poachers. Does anybody actually accept, embrace, and consciously spread evil? Or do they all construct frameworks to avoid moral responsibility? And speaking of moral responsibility, what are the ethics behind what I'm doing? Is my coverage of places like Kensington unethical and kind of fucked up? Since making my last video in San Francisco, I've become aware of an entire side of the internet, particularly YouTube, that films homeless people under the guise of humanization and does huge numbers, and understandably so. Poverty is pornographic. The difference is, you don't generally jerk off to homeless content or hood vlogs, but it tantalizes a similarly curious part of the brain that gets excited by the forbidden and dangerous. For that reason, Kensington is pretty much the #1 homeless YouTube content zone in the country. In fact, there's like 50 YouTube documentaries up right now, just like this one.
Chat. Curiosity might be a spark to the oil, but at the same time, guys, you don't watch porn every day because, I'm curious today, chat. I wonder what this cock and this that. It's not fully curiosity. I mean, that fades away, dude. Like, guys, I don't watch 2 or 3 homeless videos a day. Okay, but I'll watch 2 or 3,
which all follow pretty much the same marketing strategy. City of Zombies, further dehumanizing Americans suffering from necrotizing fasciitis, and purposely using salacious language to collect ad revenue from views, which because of our declining attention span, which also comes as a result of a Chinese psyop called TikTok, are best driven by clickbait titles and shocking keyframes. Upon further investigation, it would appear that Kensington's largest export besides trank is definitely content, a 2-syllable term that represents the transformation of art into a flat commodity, of which value is determined solely by engagement, not quality. Meaning, a content creator could realize that the product he's selling is bad for society, but so long as the market demand is there, he will continue. You see where I'm going with this? The Trank brothers aren't the only ones profiting from human suffering in Kensington. And many locals feel that much of the content filmed here does much more harm than it does good for the neighborhood.
Well, everybody I see on YouTube that come down here and get some content, I feel as though it's not for the right intentions. They don't ask the right questions. They just record. They try to get the best video. They try to go viral. They try to get attention to their channel, but the message ain't what it's supposed to be.
Guys, it implicates a slippery slope of a fallacy. A little bit, it's too extreme, okay? Because at this point, same can be said for almost everything you consume, everything in life, everything that we partake of on a daily basis, all has exactly these components. All of them have it. Does that mean that it's all valid? Not necessarily.
You understand what I'm saying?
What's up, bro? How you doing? Good to meet you.
There's a lot of originals right here. Everybody that walked up is literally from down here, like literally 20 plus years.
Yeah, I lived down here all my life type shit.
Now I'm having motion blings fast for that. Baby, I'm a rapper, ain't no trap. Little cat, and a nigga crack. He's a clap that. Crack the silk, diamond drinking juice in my ass. Fuck the money up.
I see my man hot. He don't even rap, but for the camera though, he was nice.
Hey, that was fire.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Guys, imagine comparing opening an app on your phone and scrolling a little bit to going in the street, finding a dealer, buying some drugs, and fucking injecting your shit up.
Man.
So growing up here, what was it like, man?
Hell. If I can describe one word, hell.
Not comparable.
Niggas' moms dying, niggas dying from
And to be honest,
before the early 90s, this used to be a Caucasian neighborhood.
And there was my story. Yes, it was a Caucasian neighborhood. This was Kensington in 1982. You're probably asking yourself, what the hell happened? It's a long story, but let's get into it. As a Philadelphia native myself, who grew up in a neighborhood called Fairmount, just a 15-minute drive from Kensington, I've always been aware of the chaotic, corrupt, and confusing history of Philadelphia. And at some point while discussing the history of Kensington with locals, I realized that was the true story that needed coverage. It's obvious to the naked eye that Kensington is horrifying, but few ask the question, how did it get like this? Unlike San Francisco's Tenderloin, which is mainly a result of neglect and progressive policy, Kensington is a story of police corruption, deep-rooted segregation, and now is the face of a blatant scheme by property developers associated with Temple University, who've laid out a 5-year plan to revitalize the Kensington corridor. 6 blocks down the street from the open-air drug market across Lehigh Avenue, developers have already began mass buyouts of property, both residential and commercial, and the police, in turn, are helping them to displace homeless people and push them further up the street toward the open-air drug market. With this in mind, it's quite obvious that the city is allowing the open-air drug market to flourish in order to lower property values and drive out local residents and businesses. That way, they can buy it up at a low cost, then begin enforcing drug laws, push addicts further away, and turn Kensington into a full-blown gentrified corridor, complete with juice bars, yoga studios, and so forth.
Chat.
Sounds.
I gotta be honest. Is this a symptom or is this an intention or what?
Crazy, but as you'll learn, for Philadelphia,
it's difficult
this is
sometimes.
Let's go back to the year 19.
Sometimes people misanalyze whether something is a symptom of something or whether it's an intention, right? Whether it's what you want, right, or what's happening, it just kind of correlates. Guys, it's
1800. Back then, Philadelphia was a cesspool of rough and tumble European immigrants from countries like Ireland, Italy, Germany, and beyond. At this time, Philadelphia was 94.5% white and 72% foreign-born. Imagine that. One of these immigrants was my great-great-grandfather, Jeremiah Callahan, a poor Irish Catholic farm boy from Cork, Ireland. After the potato famine, Jeremiah hatched a plan to catch a boat to the New World and ended up settling in West Philadelphia in a row home with 7 children and 1 bathroom. Despite overcrowding, Philadelphia became known as the paradise of the skilled worker. Wages were high, and Philadelphia emerged as the center of manufacturing for many industries, but most notably, Kensington was the center of the textile industry, with the Beatty factory, which employed over 100,000 people in 1915. But after World War I kicked off and the Great Depression followed in 1928, Philadelphia experienced what is called de-industrialization, as factories shut down, and for whatever reason, the textile industry moved to the American South. By 1935, Philadelphia lost 2/3 of all manufacturing jobs, leading to mass unemployment and significant urban decay. Many of these European immigrants, who believed that America would be paradise, found themselves jobless and pissed off. Now, simultaneously, 6 million African Americans were leaving the South, heading north to cities like Chicago, Detroit, and of course, Philadelphia. This was called the Great Migration. This migration drastically changed the demographics of Philadelphia. Now, it's important to remember that before this, 91% of African Americans lived in the South. And while slavery was technically abolished in 1865 after the collapse of the Confederacy, the following decades proved to be no less difficult for Southern blacks. The white, formerly slave-holding majority in the South fought viciously against black integration during the Reconstruction era. They formed organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, a vigilante group of terrorists whose foundational goal was to prevent black Americans from voting or achieving political power. And almost all of the initial KKK members were former Confederate soldiers. And in just 2 decades, they assassinated hundreds of politicians and lynched 4,600 civilians. Sharecropping also was running rampant, and Jim Crow laws were militantly enforced by the police, Klan, and just ordinary white citizens. Anyways, black Southerners had a million reasons to leave the South, so they did. However, when they arrived to Philadelphia, they were not in paradise. They found themselves in a very different, but still quite hostile environment, which makes sense given the fact that they immigrated in the midst of an economic decline and were seen as a threat to job security. In 1939, World War II begins, just as black population in Philadelphia hits 11%. Millions of men, both black and white, go to war. Then, in 1945, the war ends and all the troops come home. President Roosevelt signed something into law called the GI Bill, aka the Servicemen's Readjustment Act, which provides a wide range of benefits for returning veterans. Most importantly, the GI Bill provided low-cost mortgages and generous financial aid that made it possible for almost every returning veteran to afford a nice, new family home. And so, the idea for suburbia was hatched. It's important to remember that at this point in 1944, suburbia, as we know it today, did not exist. There was no cul-de-sacs, strip malls, or sprawling subdivisions surrounding every major U.S. city. There was only really 2 types of areas, urban and rural centers. And as we know, the urban centers were in very bad shape. So, a real estate developer named William J. Levitt...
There's something odd about having goals and shit, right? And sending your people to war or whatever to, like, assure prosperity or some shit or whatever, right? and then not taking care of them when they come back. I mean, they're doing all the heavy lifting, no? Got to send people to war, no?
And his company, Levitt & Sons, had an idea.
Use the military method to mass-produce homes on old farmland. That way, he can create new communities overnight.
The mass construction of low-cost, low-density residential developments in the rural areas surrounding the cities, particularly Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. These were called Levitowns and were built very quickly to accommodate veterans returning home from World War II, which was nearly half of all American males. In fact, Levitt & Sons worked directly with the Veterans Administration to subsidize these mortgage payments. Within the first week, 67,000 veterans, both black and white, applied to live in Levittowns.
This is Levittown, Pennsylvania, a new suburban community of 60,000 people, midway between Philadelphia and Trenton, New Jersey.
Yet, 99% of black applicants were denied. Why? It seems pretty unconstitutional, especially given the fact that Levittown's were partnered directly with the VA, but there was nothing the VA could do. Here was the typical experience of a black veteran attempting to apply for a home in Levittown.
I walked up to the salesperson and I said to him, "We're very interested in your house and we'd like an application." And I remember what he said to me. He looked at me, said, "It's not me, but the management has not as yet decided whether he's going to sell these houses to Negroes or not."
The management he's referring to was the HOLC, or the Homeowners Loan Corporation, who had a plan to dramatically segregate Philadelphia through a practice known as redlining. Now, the HOLC made it imperative that these newly built suburbs and Levittowns were to be whites only.
New middle-class families of Levittown had one other thing in common. They were all white.
And we understood that it was going to be all white, and we were very happy to buy a home here.
In fact, they carved out the entire metro area to confine black people to the north, inner west, and southeast of the city, which were the most neglected parts of Philadelphia. And so, white suburbia was born. My great-grandparents picked up and left West Philadelphia in the early 1950s and never returned back to the big city, as did 150,000 other white Philadelphians over the course of the next 2 decades. Between 1945 and 1970, Philadelphia's white population decreased from 87% to 62%. This mass migration was known as white flight. In an ideal world, it would have just been called flight, but the HOLC's dramatic racial restrictions made this impossible. Anyways, by 1970, Philadelphia was the most predominantly black city on the East Coast and fell into deep poverty as the suburbs expanded. But Kensington, in this context, was a true anomaly because it was one of the few non-segregated neighborhoods in Philadelphia. So the HOLC, who wrote the blueprint for redlining and segregation, designated Kensington in 1945 as a concentration of undesirables, including low-class whites and Negroes. Kensington whites really didn't leave until the 1990s. And throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Kensington was the center of the Irish-American criminal underworld, specifically a gang called the K&A Gang, a group of Irish burglars and methamphetamine traffickers who decided to set up shop on the corner of Kensington and...
I understand that the historical context and what would how things were labeled at the time. I still think that in hindsight, I think it can still be characterized with a more modern term, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Does that ring a bell? It's the street corner where we filmed the first half of this video.
Well,
For several decades, this corner flourished as an Irish-controlled meth market. And even back then, police looked the other way. But in the late 80s, crack cocaine was introduced to the inner city.
This form of cocaine comes concentrated. It is smoked rather than sniffed. It produces an intense high within 5 to 10 seconds that last only 5 to 10 minutes.
Leading to a spike in homicides and open-air gang warfare that ravaged Philadelphia. As a result, Philadelphia experienced a second white flight. Between 1990 and 2010, white population in Philadelphia decreased from 57% down to 33% of the city, and for the first time, suburban population actually exceeded urban population in Philadelphia. The Kensington whites, including the K&A Gang, were among those whites who left the city in the 90s. This left their open-air drug market pretty much unattended. So crack and heroin traffickers, who were mainly black and Latino, decided to set up shop on the corner once used and occupied by the Irish.
When the 90s hit, a lot of Hispanics and blacks moved into the neighborhood, and that's when the drug trafficking got real heavy.
Did a lot of the Hispanics and blacks who moved here, were they coming from other parts of Philly, or were they migrating from different states and cities?
other parts of Philadelphia. It ain't too many outsiders over here.
Shockingly, Philadelphia police continue their look the other way policy, but locals say that was only for the sale of drugs, not public consumption. What you see today has only been allowed for the past few years.
When I was young, they used to get high in abandoned houses. They used to hide from people to do this. They used to keep it more concealed. They used to be more, you know what I'm saying? But you know what they told me though? When I told them, like, what is y'all doing? Go in the abandoned houses and get high. Why y'all doing this shit out here? You know what they told me? They said, if I go in the abandoned houses and get high and I OD, ain't nobody gonna find me. So they really feel comfortable getting high outside. So, because when they OD, somebody walk past, somebody see them, and they give them CPR. And I gave them CPR plenty of times, and gave them Narcan plenty of times. But like back in the day, like I said, they used to go in the abandoned house. They used to hide from this. This always been a problem. It's just now it's outside for everybody to see now.
So in terms of legality, is it legal to use and sell drugs in this particular radius?
If you don't get locked up, what you call it? Say if a cop walk past you, right, and you getting high outside, and you don't get locked up, or you get no citations, no nothing, what you call it? It's legal, almost.
Yeah,
legal.
But what about actually selling drugs? That's still illegal, right?
It's definitely still illegal. You definitely can't sell drugs. Yeah.
This is a very important distinction to make. While in recent years, Philadelphia police have turned an extreme blind eye to public drug consumption in Kensington, the same does not apply to drug dealing, like it once did during the days of the Irish mob.
A major drug bust in Kensington. This morning, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner announced the arrest of more than 57 suspects for allegedly selling fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, and other drugs.
Many locals feel like this sort of selective enforcement is essentially entrapment.
That's how they now. That's how they get black. You know, that's how they get us.
They give it to us.
Yeah.
What do you mean they give it to you?
The government bring it into the United States for us to sell. They don't tax it, so they lock us up for it. If the government could tax it, we wouldn't go to jail for it.
All right, so this time I want to do a side note. All right, let me do a side note. Side note. My goal is to have a dog show in Philadelphia. So for everybody watching this, my Instagram is BelieveLoveKennel_27. I breed dogs for a living. I do it for a hobby. If anybody want a free dog, they expensive, but there is some dogs that I will bless some families with. You just got to give me a good enough reason why you need it for free.
Do you feel like Michael Vick gave dog owners in Philly a bad reputation?
Yes, he did. Shit, what are you talking about? Hell yeah, he did. But you know, he came back from here, apologized.
He was a professional.
People I know with his dogs. Yes, I breed dogs. I do not fight. I do not fight dogs at all.
Michael Vick does have a fascinating story of redemption and rebirth. But anyways, that's a story for a different day. As I mentioned earlier, Kane.
This is what happened with weed. Okay, I understand that. Okay, but weed doesn't have the same physiological effects and negative effects, and sequelae, whatever it's called than this. It's not physically or mentally or neurologically as harmful. Therefore, its regulation was helpful. If this was to be regulated for normal recreational users, it wouldn't. Because they know and probably have the studies and data to say, oh, if we sell this to the normal person, they're gonna fucking die. They wouldn't do that shit. Fucking not you.
Is on the frontier of an ongoing class war, which right now has an obvious dividing line: Lehigh Avenue.
Lehigh, right there where the bridge at.
Let me take you on a brief drive here from the open-air drug market 6 blocks south to give you an idea of just how dramatic a contrast there is. We begin our drive on the corner of K&A at the Gates of Hell and drive south on Kensington Avenue. As we saw, there are thousands of people here shooting up and smoking trank, fentanyl, meth, and heroin. Almost every business, aside from a select few, is permanently closed. As you continue to drive a few blocks, there's still decay. Adult video stores, cops standing around, strange pedestrians staring at you, ice cream trucks driving around looking for opiate addicts on the come down, and more abandoned commercial property. You finally approach the bridge, which marks Lehigh Avenue. As soon as you cross, almost every property is for sale or undergoing active construction. We're told this entire neighborhood has been torn down in the past 5 years, after developers staged a complete bulldoze of South Kensington to make room for new luxury apartment buildings and artisan commercial storefronts. Aside from the loud construction noise, things are pretty chill here. There are no drug addicts or police in sight. You begin to spot well-off white people, like myself. You see dyed hair and cold brew, Ukraine flags, and BLM-related art. People are in the streets, actively revitalizing.
Do you know what this used to be? It used to be a factory. A factory? Yeah.
You see Amazon delivery boxes, Porsches with New Jersey plates, and people that you can almost guarantee are not from North Philadelphia. No disrespect. It's like stepping into a different world. You almost can't believe that the corner of K&A is just 10 blocks away from here. But you're quickly reminded when you see an advertisement for the Abode at Oxford in Kensington, a newly built luxury apartment building.
Oh, I guess nobody actually lives here yet. This whole shit's like an empty construction site.
Yeah,
nobody lives here yet. If you walk around this neighborhood, which I guess is like the north central Philadelphia area, like straight up, every single street has probably 2 to 3 active construction sites, and they're all building shit like those apartments right there, which kind of have like a Philly row home vibe, but as you can see, like they all have the exact same like house number font. The Abode at Oxford in Kensington, which offers a 10-year tax abatement. I don't know what fucking type of Ponzi scheme is happening here, but moving somewhere for a phase 2 tax abatement in North Philly, it's kind of weird, but it looks kind of nice.
I've seen a lot of things, but this dramatic contrast between Kensington North and Kensington South was something I've never seen in my life. It was as if Lehigh Avenue was an imaginary force field that blocked all the problems of North Kensington from seeping into the South. But according to locals, the south part of Kensington, going all the way down to Fishtown, which now is the center of gentrification in Philadelphia, used to more or less resemble K&A just a decade ago.
Listen, I'm from Dolphin, your Dolphin station. It used to be just like this.
Yes,
They're gentrifying us because all the Caucasians used to live all the way out the boulevards. And have to commute to downtown.
Yeah, and
now they want to ride their bicycles.
Or they want to hop on the L without getting on their car.
Bam, bam, bam. Now, if you go down Dolphin, I got shot 15 times on Dolphin. This was 8 years ago. You go down there, those houses back then were worth $15,000. They're worth $700,000 right now. They know what they're doing.
Guys, if I give my take about gentrification, I'm gonna get canceled because I think my take is good. It's just that people won't accept it.
They're letting all the addicts be out here, so the home
cities are shit. Cities, big stacked spots are shit. They are in fact for rich people. That's just what it is. Nobody can afford, in what we call the term afford. Nobody can afford live in the big cities. Okay, yet they still choose and live in cities when they can't afford it. So gentrification is kind of bound to happen regardless because it's expensive places for people that have a lot of money and very little people that have very little money, and it makes them homeless. Bruh, that's just what it is. It's just what it is. Sorry, this is what it is.
Homeowners sell and get the hell out of here, and next thing you know what happens? All the contractors swoop in, buy that shit at the low and sell it at the top.
Yes, sir. And who gonna buy at the top? There ain't too many blacks and colors that's really spending millions and hundreds of thousands on their properties and stuff like that.
They think that we not stupid. I got a college degree. He got a college degree. Like, yeah. But it's the color of our skin. No disrespect. It's the color of our skin that.
They make the case that the city of Philadelphia is essentially playing inside.
Yo, if you voluntarily live in LA and you complain about this shit, you're a fucking moron. LA is a shithole for dumbass rich people. Dummy. You are a dummy. Motherfucker, dude, you're smoking crack. You're on the trank. Bro, you're tranked out the wazoo, deadass. You're tranked up.
Inside baseball with developers and contractors by allowing K&A to flourish in its current form. That way, property values will dramatically...
Yes, I have a house there. I'm both rich and brain dead. I qualify. Do you?
Increased, allowing for a full-scale revitalization at a much lower cost. This may sound like a conspiracy theory, but consider that a year ago, Philadelphia simultaneously evacuated its 2 largest underground homeless encampments, forcing homeless people above ground and sending them directly to the corner of K&A.
And officials today cleared out several homeless encampments in that neighborhood. It was all part of an effort to tackle the city's growing opioid crisis.
One of these encampments was called Conrail, which ran along the train tracks in South Kensington for multiple decades.
I don't know if you're familiar with Gurney Street, Conrail. Growing up, I just remember people living where Conrail is.
Well, it's a train track that is like their city. They would come up here, they would buy their drugs, they would go back into the train track. So it's so clean up here. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say they had a city down there, they probably had 100,000 people down there.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, now they're up on the surface, like, you know, with everyone else and with nowhere to go.
Now it's our turn.
And then the effed up part is, right, it's a law where a guy can have 10 bundles of dope in front of the cops shooting up. Nothing's done to them. Nothing said to them. But let another person sell one bag of weed in front of him, he's locked the fuck up.
What you going in his pocket for?
That's my dude.
What you going in his pocket for?
Because he's sleeping and I'm about to leave.
But why you going in his pocket though?
She's trying to steal from him.
His money in his pocket.
He's okay. He's okay. Nobody know but you. Nobody know but you. It's okay. He's okay.
How do you know?
First off, he's asking why you go in her pocket. She's having 1,000,001 excuses. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's because
He's not going to get robbed. Just leave him alone. He's all right. You about to rob him. Be careful, Frank. Be careful, Frank. All right, Frank, make sure you got everything in your pocket, Frank, all right? I know you don't give a fuck, Frank, but we care. She's going in your pocket.
Come on.
Whether it's true or not that K&A is just the product of one big development scheme is to be determined. However, one thing is for sure. Philadelphia is gentrifying at a more rapid pace than almost anywhere else in America right now. And obviously, while it's better to live next to a yoga studio than it is to an open-air trank market, simply revitalizing one area and just pushing the problem further away doesn't actually solve anything. It's only a temporary band-aid for problems like drugs and crime, which are endemic in our society. Eventually, like we see in San Francisco, the criminal element of every city which is only repressed by gentrification will grow to reclaim the city it was pushed out of. This kind of rapid development has proved to be totally unsustainable and results in the emboldening of a hyper-localized criminal underclass who spends their entire free time preying on transport.
So what's the solution?
In a recent episode, we covered a burglar named Jack the Bipper in San Francisco. Here is how he justifies his motivation for stealing.
This shit, honestly, it became a forte of mine because the Google techies that started coming by, they were so fucking dumb, so stupid. They'd pull up in their fucking new Tesla, jump out the car, doors fucking wide, like fucking left open with hella shit in there, dude. Greed can only hit you so much, dude, and it's like, dude, I feel like it was more so, we had to teach them guys.
If it was true, I mean, you're brain dead, okay? Bro, you got, let's say so some guy does that, right? And buys a bunch of shit everywhere around, right? And makes these fucking businesses sustainable and shit like that. They're dumb, they're spending and shit like that, right? Instead, oh, dude, instead of letting this guy spend thousands over the months, over the years, let's rob him, dude, for fucking $100 or $500, and maybe he never comes back ever again. And now we live in a shithole. Wow,
as a lesson,
so
you know,
smart.
Come on,
Thank
dude.
you.
You're just gonna leave all your shit there every day, every week, like no matter what. I'm talking about like when they go to work, like you know, they'll leave their doors unlocked no matter what. Like,
as you can see, much of his desire to do crime is a reaction to San Francisco's gentrification, which rapidly disrupted the economy and cultural identity of the city. Cultural capital actually matters. And Kensington is home to many local artists who aren't homeless and don't approve of what the city has allowed their...
Guys, you do the same logic applies to stores. If you fucking loot and smoke the stores and everybody robs and shit like that, right? And the store says, guys, I'm sorry guys, we can't afford to fucking have this place open anymore. We're closing down our shop. And then the local shops, they just close the door and they go somewhere else, right? Now what? Now what do you have? What do you have now? What's going on about?
To turn into.
This is my homie right here, Big Banks Kenzo. He been holding Kensington down for a long time.
I touch a bag for real. Best a little stash, that boy gonna be mad. That shit gonna be bad for real. Hey bro, chill out, you already know how we carrying it. I used to tuck all the work in my sock. Still on the F, I can't go to the spot. Bitch on the face of my hood, if you with me, you good, baby. I got that shit in real life.
He says that since cops began turning a blind eye in Kensington, it's become a magnet for drug users all around the country.
Some people come down here. I talked to this one boy. He said he was from Memphis. He came down here 8 years ago and got stuck and just been comfortable down here. How you do that? I make clothes like bro said. I give clothes out to these people for free. I gave one guy clothes. He found my Instagram when he moved to California, got on his feet. He got his life together. And then I just found out he OD'd out there off fentanyl. And it's like, damn, you left down here to get on your feet and you still went to wherever you went to thinking you found peace and still got caught up in it. So it's really a mindset. It don't matter where you at, bro.
Some of these people really have mental problems, schizophrenia. Like they be having serious issues going on with them, something that we can't help them. Like,
but then it's like if they know they could come here and not do it elsewhere, it makes here even worse. You gotta remember, there's little kids down here just like it is out Fairmount and Seattle and all that, bro. That's walking to school, they got walk past it. We just were talking about the library. I got a 10-year-old son. He know that the library is called Needles Park. He never knew it as the library. I knew it as. And I just moved out the neighborhood.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I done moved out the neighborhood.
If the real estate conspiracy is true, the plan is working. Big Banks Kenzo, a member of the creative class whose entire identity is based around the neighborhood, is leaving after 27 years, out of concerns for the safety of his son. Developers obviously don't care, but tearing down old school neighborhoods to build homogenized hipster zones like you see in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or Silver Lake, Los Angeles is a very short-sighted decision because it ultimately erases the culture and history of the neighborhood, which are the very factors that made it attractive to transplants in the first place. Yet, this is all justified in the name of safety.
Guys, in fucking Silver Lake, I'm not kidding, chat. You open up the app, okay? You open up the app. Every fucking Uber Eats store is some fucking hipster,
XQC
vegan, avocado-filled dog shit, fucking like brown bread, healthy dog shit, okay? And it costs an arm and a leg. And then now chat, guys, now it's lunchtime. You click on desserts, okay? $9 cookies, $8.50 cookies, USD, one cookie, $8 cookie.
A strange and politicized term that leads to many questions. Safety from who? And safety from what? Who is the unsafe person? And who are we keeping them away from? Does this mean keeping drug addicts away from children? What about the 10,000 children living in Kensington? Or does it mean keeping gang members away from grandmothers? Which is impossible because they typically live together. In my opinion, what safety means in this context, without question, is keeping Temple University students away from Philadelphia locals. Let me explain. Temple University is a predominantly white, relatively expensive university in the middle of North Philly. When I say the middle, it's in the middle of North Philly. It's only about 3 miles from K&A, and for many decades, Temple has had a reputation as a very dangerous place to go to school.
2 students were robbed on 16th Street, both inside of Temple's patrol zone.
However, in the past decade, Temple has gone above and beyond to rehabilitate its image and increase enrollment, and it's definitely worked. They've expanded their police force to include safety initiatives, like the walking escort program, and expanded their patrol boundaries to include a 50-block radius that just barely borders the Kensington neighborhood to the east. Now, this Temple patrol boundary has gradually expanded, as Temple University has systematically purchased blocks upon blocks of North Philadelphia row homes to convert into student housing. To clarify, Temple hasn't done this directly, but through their shell companies, Temple Nest Apartments, Temple Villas, and Templetown Realty. It should come as no surprise that many of the properties in South Kensington past Lehigh Avenue are being developed specifically by these companies. I know this might sound crazy, but hear me out. I think that Temple University President Jason Wingard, Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney, Police Chief Kevin Bethel, and the Trank brothers are all partners in a 4-way real estate scam to build an Equinox gym and Stumptown coffee roasters on the corner of Kensington and Allegheny in 5 years. I'm obviously joking, but the point I'm making is that speculating over who's doing what and why this is happening is kind of futile at this point. There's no real possible way to actually resist gentrification. And no amount of awareness in the world
because it's a symptom, like I said earlier,
could possibly disrupt these market forces. The reality is that everyday life for people doing drugs on the corner of K&A is absolute hell. But there's one perspective we haven't heard from, the female perspective. Women make up less than 28% of homeless people, but their experience on the streets is oftentimes even more rough than it is for males. What you're about to see is an interview with 2 homeless women who are currently living on the streets of Kensington. I should warn you before proceeding, many of the subjects discussed in this interview involve childhood sexual abuse and may be very disturbing to some viewers.
Chat, guys, I'm gonna see the rest of this chat. Guys, it was a good video though. I enjoyed it. Guys.